You're listening to Music 101 with your host, Alexxis Steele. Sponsored by Steel Notes Magazine. You can find them at the web, folks, at www.steelnotesmagazine.com.
Hi, it's Music 101 with Alexxis Steele. It gives me great pleasure to bring to you tonight the one and only rockin' Roni Lee. How you doing, Roni?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you doing, Music 101?
I'm doing great.
Alexxis Steele.
Yeah, how's things in sunny California?
Oh my gosh, sunny and beautiful. I've been indoors all day as usual.
Probably
recuperating from some
hot,
stuff,
really hot out there right now, right?
You know, it's always perfect here. It's one of the things that we have to endure, unfortunately. Just the perfect weather. Yeah.
Well, that's nice. Well, let's see. It's been a while. I'm trying to think of how many years it is since we actually spoke. When we actually did my anniversary show. Do you remember? I brought you in with Kim Fowley as a surprise. You and Esther Mohawk.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was a while ago because he passed in what, 15? I want to say.
Yeah, so I think it was 2014.
Yeah, I think it was not very long before that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's still in the video, the Boys Art video. I think you got one of those.
I know, and actually
pulled up and yeah, he's pops up in my memories and of course,
me too.
You know, all that stuff. And I still have some songs that he gave me handwritten that I'm still been procrastinating a little bit, but I was going to write. I put some music too for him. So that was one of the last things he asked me to do.
Okay,
I'm gonna do it, Kim, I promise.
All right, so he wrote the lyrics for them?
Yes. Yeah, he handed me a stack of lyrics, probably 4 or 5 songs. And he said, I'd like you to finish these for me, you know, put them to music, which is, that was the MO with Kim, is he would write a lot of the lyrics, most of it. He wasn't really a music writer. And then whoever he had writing music for him, myself or whoever would put music to it, he would arrange it and we'd put it together and collaborate and put it out there. So
exactly. So, okay, we're going to backtrack a little bit. So you got your start at what age in music? When did you start playing guitar and realize that this is what you wanted to do?
Oh, those are two different things. I realized that was what I wanted to do when I was probably 8 or 9. But I had never seen a girl play electric guitar. So it didn't occur to me that I didn't see a girl play it. I just didn't really have anybody to follow in the footsteps of. So I just plunked away at a classical guitar that I found at an auction. So I think I got my first gig probably at about 14 or 15, playing with a couple of guys. And it was terrible, but I loved it. And I just kept going after that. You know, then bought an electric guitar, got an Econoline van with somebody I didn't know and joined an all-girl band in Seattle. And did a lot of that, hitchhiked back and forth to LA and did stuff. And you just, I don't know, we did things in the 70s you would never do now. I would never let my
tell me
kids
about it.
leave the house now.
Yeah, right. I know, hitchhiking, that was a means of transportation back then, right?
It's just, stick my thumb out and away I would go and somehow survived it. And believe me, people were just as bad then as they are now. So I don't know how, but it worked out for me. Don't do this at home, kids, or anywhere else for that matter. But, and even when the Runaways and Venus and the Raceways and all that was happening in LA and all that stuff in the late 70s, I mean, there just weren't any parents around. We just did what we wanted to do. That would never happen now. Dakota Fanning and Kristen Stewart, when they talked about the Runaways movie, said the same thing. They said, kids nowadays, you know, they're so sequestered in the industry, both music and television.
Yeah, but
much more so.
Because I grew up in the 70s too, you know?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I was a teen back then, and I feel the same thing, like you said, because we hitchhiked everywhere. My parents knew I was hitchhiking, you know, and the places we used to go and the things we used to do. Like you said, nowadays that would never work.
My mom was a hippie. My mom was a massive hippie back then. So, you know, I mean, our parents were probably, I don't know about your parents, but my mom was very, very young. She was only like 15 or 16 years older than me. So we all pretty much grew up together in a way. So,
yeah, no, that was me. I was 16 when, you know, I was having my first, or actually 17, but no, my mom was a little older. She was like about 27 or 28. you know, when I
But
was,
I had, like I said, starting out, I didn't think about it. It was just something I was going to do. It was never an option. It was never a, can I do this? It was a little odd being a girl guitar player, and I never, and still to this day, you get the look like, oh, so I really play guitar, huh? That part kind of has never completely ended, by the way, but it never occurred to me not to do it. Just never thought that I wasn't going to do that.
okay, so let's talk a little bit more about this in depth. So then basically you're hanging out on the Hollywood scene, and like, when did you first come across Kim Fowley, and all this happened with like Venus and the Razor Blades and your collaboration and all that?
Well, actually, I didn't even hear about the Runaways until I was in a show band in Reno. And Rick Derringer and I were buddies, and everybody was, but that's the only place you could make money. At the same as now, LA wasn't a great place to make money and play music. And show bands, especially all girl ones, were very, very, very short on people that could actually play, women that could actually play. So we had our pick of work, and if you could read a little music, which I could read just enough to get in trouble, you were working. So I was working like crazy, like 6 days a week, 5 hours a night, playing guitar in a show band. The curtain would open and we'd have our gowns on, and I'd be playing my Flying V and my Marshall, and
Wow.
on one half, because you had to be really low in a casino, but had a wig on because my hair was too weird for them, so they had to tone it down a little. And somehow, without internet, I got the word that this guy Kim Fowley had put together an all-girl band, and he was putting together another band, and he just needed girl musicians. I'm like, well, this is my chance to get back to LA. Plus, I had enough money to actually get there, and I think I bought a car and a bunch of guitars, and I called him and I said, hey, I want to audition for anything, whatever you're putting together. You're not really a guitar player. You're a magazine writer or something, or a reporter. And he hung up on me. I called him 5 times. I said,
wow,
I'm a guitar player. He goes, well, if you're a guitar player, you need to be playing guitar when I walk into your apartment. I had just rented an apartment on Gower in Sunset, if you know where that is. Not a especially nice place now or then area. And this little hotel room, or little apartment building rather. So Rick Derringer gives me a silver lame jumpsuit, and I threw that on. Actually, I drove to California, which wasn't that far from Reno, I guess, probably, 8 or 9 hours, throw my suit on, throw my stack up in the apartment, throw my guitar on, and in walks Kim Fowley. And I think there was somebody with him. I think it was Stephen Tesh from Venus and the Razor Blades. Mm-hmm. And he hired me because I knew how to play guitar. I knew he would hire me if I could meet him. So he hired me, and we started, he hired me into Venus and the Razor Blades. Then I met all the Runaways, and Joan and Sandy and I became really, really, really great friends. And I started writing, and I wrote. Kim said, if you don't write a song, you're fired. He told that to everybody. You all have to write a song, because he was into that. So I wrote that night my first song of my life, which was I Want to Be Where the Boys Are. And Joan loved it. And so the Runaways took it as well. And we all played it together because we were all hanging out, teenage kids, just doing our thing. And it was like we didn't even play that long. And the bands weren't even together that long. It was kind of a short-lived deal. And I think it became a bigger deal later once Joan's song, I Love Rock and Roll, came out in the early 80s. And then all of a sudden people started looking back going, yeah, these people really inspired me, or, women in music. And it became even really a bigger deal than it was at the time, and that's kind of how that all came about. He was just putting together, we were told what to wear, how to wear it, where to go, kind of how to act, although we were just wild. So
Kim knew what to do,
He did. He could put together bands. I mean, co-produced Helen Reddy. He was really just he was the king of hype. That's what he called himself, and he could hype. They had a T-shirt, Venus and the Razor Blades and the Runaways. We all had promo in Japan before we ever were there. Way long before. And again, without internet, people
Yeah,
mailing
right.
things. I guess they mailed things. I don't even know how they do that.
Yeah, right. Snail mail,
Like, how does this happen? And it
right?
was like this. It was so fast. You pick up a Billboard magazine, you know, or whatever. Speaking of no honking, sorry, there's a horn out there, but I'm downtown, so you're gonna hear downtown
Okay.
thingies. But yeah,
How
it
did you
was.
feel about, Kristen Stewart singing "I Want to Be Where the
She
Boys Are" in the Runaways movie?
she absolutely nailed Joan's attitude and behavior and the way she
Right?
walked. I was stunned, actually. I mean, I didn't really see her that much in Twilight. I was never really, you know, I didn't really follow that stuff too much. But I tell you what, that girl did her homework on Joan. Plus, Joan was there, I think, on set too. So,
Mhm.
you know, and I didn't really know my music was in the movie until a friend of mine saw the movie
Really? You didn't?
and texted me. Yeah, because you know, that's how publishers work. You know, they don't exactly call you, because I've got versions of Cherry Bomb that I've done as well that have been on TV shows, and you don't always hear that your thing is on something unless somebody catches it. You know, you might see it in a check later, but that's 6 months down the road or whatever, you know.
Right.
And it does kind of make you wonder when you can see when music's push. Now it's interesting because it's all digital. And back in the day of people playing records, they would estimate how much your record was played. I mean, they didn't exactly keep a written log and count it up. It didn't work like that. Now, though, digitally, it's pretty awesome, because I can tell who's playing what, who's selling what, who's doing what, where in every country.
Right.
And you can really track things like that you could never do in the past. So, you know, that's the geek in me, and I like to follow that. And you're like, hey, Canadians are digging "I Want to Be Where the Boys Are" or Cherry Bomb.
So, I know that, people have different feelings about the digital age, but it does have its advantages.
Everything has a plus and minus, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's people say, well, it's so hard to do music anymore. It is. It's difficult and it's easier in some ways.
Right.
It's just you have to understand the beast you're dealing with, and that's always been tricky, right? In the music industry. I mean, it was tricky then. It's tricky now. It's just a different kind. The tricks get different, and staying on top of them is difficult. It's difficult for all of us, whether you were whenever you were born. I would say it's a little tougher when you get older, because you don't like change as much, but some people like it. I've tried to follow it as best as I can, but I got to admit, I do call a millennial up occasionally and go, how the hell do I repost something on Instagram? Because I'm like, I know I can do it, but I'm not sure if I can.
Being a female guitar player, rocking it out in a man's world, you know?
Yep. You know what? I have never struggled to be a star or anything. I think the biggest thing I've always wanted, whatever stardom is to be respected by my peers. It was always a big deal for me, because I respect them so much, and I idolize so many guitar players. Jeff Beck primarily, and I finally got to meet him. And the one thing he said, even back in the Starwood days, and if you remember the Starwood, he would come out and see us there, and he came up to me one day and he said, "You're the only girl I ever saw that could play guitar." And I was like, "That's it. I'm done. I can quit now." I didn't, but that's really what I have always strived for, and I think I got it, pretty much. And but it's always challenging, because it can be tough to be one of a million guy guitar players too. How many are there? There's a lot. So you take those things that help you, but David Grohl just says it the best: just be as good as you can at what you're doing. Just be good. Just really focus, put your head down, and do your thing the best that you can do it, because then you've got nobody to answer to. And that's kind of how I've always been. And there's always going to be an asshole somewhere, always. And I just avoid them when I can, like a puddle in the road. And then when you can't avoid them and you got to work with them, you just walk through them with your boots on, and try not to let it splash you. How's that analogy?
Exactly. Well, you know what? We're going to actually take a look at I Want to Be Where the Boys Are. We have the video.
Awesome.
And we'll be right back with Roni Lee on Music 101.
Thank you.
My name is Kim Fowley. Now what you're about to see are other people besides Roni Lee performing the immortal rock and roll classic, I Want to Be Where the Boys Are. Why are they doing it? Because they're the future of rock and roll. Be happy or get out of the way. Rock and roll isn't dead. It just feels better in the 21st century. Kim Fowley and Bosco the Bear talking to you from the West Hollywood deathbed of reality. Keep on partying. Oh yeah.
Okay, we're back with Roni Lee on Music 101. We were just watching I Want to Be Where the Boys Are. That was the song that she co-wrote with Kim Fowley and the Runaways did. And we were talking about how Kristen Stewart did it in the Runaways movie. So now tell me about the people that actually were in this, because this is not you doing the video back in the day or the Runaways. This is other people.
Well, we redid it kind of as a lark and for fun because Kim was ill at the time. And we wanted something that would just kind of reflect a bunch of friends and younger people, older people, it was supposed to be a montage of just passing the baton on to kids. So I had some kids in there. Some of those people had been playing for a month. Some people have been playing for longer. And it was really just It was a party. We just were having a party for Kim, and we did it quickly. And you know, I always try to say a little something. If you can get the message in the video, you do, and if you don't, that's okay too. But for me, that video was just, hey, you know, I just want to be where the boys are. I just want to party. I just want to be accepted as one of them and be one of them. And then when I'm done, here's the guitar, and the next one can do it, you know. So there were some people in there with some struggles, and so I brought them in, and just some friends, and you know, so it was really how life was back when we did I Want to Be Where the Boys Are. Now there's Runaways videos out there, of course, doing it, and live in Japan, them doing the song, and there's a lot of video out there. So this was just my little thank you to Kim that I did.
Yeah.
Plus it was a newer version of it that I had recorded, and I recorded it, I don't know how many times, you know, since the day. Obviously the first version of Venus and the Razor Blades is also out there. That was a little rough, but it was
How
fun.
long was Venus and the Razor Blades together?
Oh, I don't know, what time is it now? It was, you know, probably less than a year. Like maybe the Runaways were probably a year and a half. You know, the Runaways had just been formed when he went to form Venus and the Razor Blades, right back to back.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know Kim when he first formed the Runaways, and I had not met Joan. And of course, the story, you know, as you know, they went to the Sugar Shack and found Cherie Curry, and she was dancing there and fit the outfit, and as it turns out, could sing. That was a lucky thing. But you know, pure Kim, he would pick people for different reasons. The musicians that he had that could play, Lita could play, Joan could play, but Joan was more, she was a rhythm guitar player. She had a lot of ideas. She was just hell-bent on rock and roll. She just lived it. She lived rock and roll. She still does. And so she kind of embodied the spirit of rock and roll then and now. And and she had a vision. She was always been a visionary, even when no one would sign her, and she was selling CDs out of her trunk of her car. You know,
She started her own label.
Yeah, she knew what she wanted to do, and she said, well, if nobody else is going to believe in me, it doesn't really matter. So I took a lot of that from her, even though I was her elder at the time by, I don't know, a year. But, you know, when you're a teenager, a year is a lot. So,
Sure, yeah.
but we hung out quite a bit. We ran around in those streets, Licorice Pizza and Tower Records. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. We just had fun. You know, I remember it all as a good time. Some people don't have as many great memories, maybe, but I don't know if I got lucky or whatever. I had some great friends. Al Stewart, you're the cat guy, was a good friend of mine. And he would kind of give me some advice once in a while. He was an Englishman, you know, but a little more stodgy than the rest of us. But a good friend. Jeff Beck's manager gave me a lot. Alan gave me a lot of great advice back then. And Chris Blackwell from Island Records, and you know, a lot of people that I find out later are fairly big deal industry guys, but they were nice, and I think they were genuinely helped out and gave us some. And the Van Halen boys, God, they were a blast. They had not been signed yet either. What a lot of fun those guys were, you know.
Sure. So Roni, what type of guitars do you like to play?
Well, if you know this or not, I am a PRS endorsed artist. So I endorse PRS guitars, not because they said, hey, here's a great deal. It's because I found that guitar. Well, originally I was a Les Paul girl, gold top Les Paul for years. And then probably about 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I accidentally came across this PRS. Somebody was playing, I borrowed it. And it felt like a stick of butter. It was like played itself. And I said, if you ever want to sell this guitar, let me know. He says, I'm never going to sell it. It's probably $5,000 guitar. He says, I'm never going to sell it. Well, his wife got pregnant. So he calls me up about a year later. So you want to buy my guitar? So I did. And I played the crap out of that thing for 2 or 3 years. And PRS got a hold of the information and offered me to work with me. So now I play PRS guitars. I have a few guitars. I still have my gold top and that sort of thing. But I like the same PRS guitar that I bought before the endorsement and I still played. I played it on Sunday up in Long Beach. So I
Nice.
play this guitar all the time. I love this guitar. It's got belt rash all over it. It's been in many countries. It's been strapped in airline seats, but it has never been in the belly of an airplane yet. Knock on wood. So far, so good. I got a trick
Great.
with that. I'm very nice to all the stewards and etc. The sky caps. Yeah.
So now, after the Venus and the Razor Blades and that all happened, you just form your own band after that?
After that, I became the Roni Lee Group. I went on a little tour, went to record in Montreal. We started a tour in New York, and we went on tour with Wild Cherry. We went on what I call the flatbed tour, because we would literally set up on the flatbed of a huge truck, and we'd all pull up, and I would be in Nebraska and South Dakota. And I would say to the manager, how is there any people here? But they would come. It's like children of the corn, we'd set up and just 1,000 people would come out and sit there and watch a show. It was a blast. It was the summer of 78, I think, or 79. And I ended up in Seattle doing a show, and I got signed there by Mushroom Records, the Heart label, and Far West Management Company picked me up. So I stayed in Seattle. For 6 years and became a Seattle artist, and actually really cut my teeth on a lot of music there. And I still have great relationships in Seattle, and people ask me, where are you? Are you in LA or Seattle? And I said, well, I'm in Seattle again, because I just booked, some of our shows are opening up now, which we're all excited about. I just booked a couple festivals in Seattle in the first weekend of July, actually. So
Nice.
I love Seattle. I love the music scene up there. It was so much
The
fun.
Seattle sound, right? A lot of
The
great
Seattle
music came
sound.
out of Seattle.
Oh my gosh, it was a blast. And then I moved back to LA in the 80s.
Okay.
Came back. Yeah.
All right. Well, we have some other videos here we want to check out.
I think some of my Seattle guys are in these. In fact, I co-wrote Heroes with my friend Lynn, who's the bassist for Bad Company. He's in Seattle now, based there. And I think you've got Young Wild Boys, which I also recorded half of that in Seattle, recorded by Tim Eaton. And I know you've got a lot of Seattle influence in those.
Okay, cool. Well, tell me about, we're going to just actually, I'll ask you about this after we get done with it, but we're going to check out Heroes with some of these Seattle guys. And we'll be right back with Roni Lee on Music 101.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, we're back on Music 101 with Roni Lee. Roni, now, so tell me about the song Heroes.
Heroes. Well, I think I mentioned before you played it. I co-wrote it with my buddy Lynn. It's some input from a couple of people. Lori Lewis from Mamas and Papas. You know, I like collaborating a little bit. The song was basically, you know, mine, and I wrote the lyrics and the idea. Usually, the way I write is I have an idea for a song. You know, I have something I want to say. Well, Heroes was written about all my friends in LA and the early scene in Los Angeles and what we did and how much fun we had. And of course, if you notice, Kenny Aronoff's the drummer. And we actually recorded the video in Los Angeles on a rooftop at sunset, which was a blast. Very difficult to get up there, but a blast to make once we were there. And of course, you know, the scenes of LA and all that. So it's just Eddie, and it's got little glimpses of the people that I saw back then playing, and they just made up so much of how I wanted to play and who I wanted to be, and so it was important to write a song about it, and I did. But the song fits a lot of things in life for me. It's got a meaning kind of to me, is some people to look up to, especially when I hate to, you know, I don't want to keep going back to the girl musician thing, but you do have to have people that inspire you when, you know, it can be a little difficult to stay in the running. You know, I've had people tell me, you can't be in the band because you're a girl. You just flat can't be in the band.
Right, sure.
Okay, that's all right. You know, and I don't get chips on my shoulder about it, but I still, you know, like Susie Quattro is one of the people that I have admired. We're friends now, and I mean, we're not, you know, she lives in London, or she lives in Europe, and but you know, we finally got to know each other a little bit better many years later, and she's just awesome. She's again one of those people that just stays the course. Joan and I see each other when we can. She's in New York, you know, I am West Coast. I see Cherie Curry. I've done a number of shows with her, you know, and she keeps going. There's a strength in women that have stood the test of time that is unique, and it's and you recognize it when it's one of those people, because you have it and they have it, and you don't have to sit and talk about it for days. You just know what you've been through, and you know, accept it, move on, and appreciate it. But I'll tell you, it's important to have people that you can look up to. So that's what the song's about. Yeah.
Sure. So you said about influences. So you said Jeff Beck and Susie Quattro. Any other influences?
Oh yeah, Jimmy Page, certainly. Not as many bluesy guys as you might think. You know, Eddie Van Halen, absolutely. But Eddie Van Halen was, you know, happened a little later. I actually would see him. We'd play together many times, and he would just sit in the corner like David and I and the other people that were playing. We would party. And Joan and I, we would wrestle and party and get up for the gig. Eddie's just in the corner going diddly 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 diddly, you know?
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, this guy works hard, you know. I want to be like him. And of course, you get up there and play, and he was so cool. So definitely Eddie Van Halen, no question. But as far as playing, you know, probably Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page, for sure, those guys. Not so much Clapton, because I'm not a huge blues player, and I love these innovative ways of playing the guitar. Richie Blackmore, you know, of course, Lita Ford was a huge Richie Blackmore fan, so Richie was around a lot around us, and unusual guy, very unique, very tasteful in his guitar playing too. So I love people that make the guitar sound a little bit not like a guitar. You know, they're kind of talking with it, and those, I think those players do that for sure. Page was like, not so much how can I play the guitar to the song, but how can I make the guitar create the song kind of. And Bonham, I love drummers. Drummers make the song for me. If you listen to Zeppelin tunes and you took Bonham out of that, and you put just a guy who played along with everything, you wouldn't have Zeppelin. You wouldn't have Zeppelin. You wouldn't have Kashmir, who's Page is playing in one time signature and Bonham's playing in another one. Who does that?
Exactly.
You know, and sounds so great. Those recordings, I challenge you to sound that good now.
Play It Like a Girl Records. This is your record label?
Yes. That started out as what they call a vanity label, much like Blackheart was for Joan. I just wanted to be in control of my own stuff. and you know, record labels have changed so much anyway. It's not like you're going to get a big old advance, and people misunderstand what advances are. They are actually an advance, meaning you
got to
never
pay
get
it
paid.
back.
You got to pay it back, and it gives a record label pretty much carte blanche on what they're going to spend that money on. You know, not a lot of choices. And then there's these 360 deals where they basically own everything, your merch, your everything. So you know, a lot of artists don't quite understand how those changes have come about or what's going on with that. And I don't say that I understand it all, but I have a fairly good grasp on how it was going. So I'm like, you know, I'm just going to do my own. And then people started kind of wanting to work with me. So I became what I call a mentor label, meaning I let them spend their own money how they want to spend it. We get together and we work a budget, because I said, look, it sounds great when someone gives you an advance, but really it's taking the control away from you and how you're going to spend your money and putting it into somebody else's hands. So, which is not always a bad thing, by the way. There are some great labels out there, don't get me wrong, but I worked with a lot of younger artists, you know, even teenagers, which means I had to work with the parents and things like that. And so I was kind of picky about it, but I mean, there's some super great talent out there. So we've had a lot of fun. Now lately, with the pandemic and all that, I've really scaled back on it, but there's still a lot of artists I support with it and do as much as I can. You know, I would call it more of a nonprofit label than anything else, because I really want the artists to have whatever they're getting. And if I can help them out, I do. I just kind of found it exciting and I don't know, uplifting to work with not just young artists, and not just girl artists. It's play like a girl. So we are, thing is, it's more of an attitude, not a gender. So you don't have to be a girl, you just have to play like one. And then you know, some of the legacy artists I needed a boost up too, that don't understand how maybe some things are working now. So I've got Lori Dee Lewis on there, who's a former member of Mamas and Papas. You know, I've been working with her and helping her out and getting some of her stuff recorded, and teamed up with some great music producers in LA. Warren Hewart is he's a fabulous producer there in LA. And Timothy Eaton, and just, I don't know, just meeting, you know, it's more of a networking thing, as you know how music is. It's kind of not what you know till you know, and all that stuff. So getting together, and you know, LA is still a great place to record music and you know, get your chops together. And I've used some of the best players, because I'm a solo artist. You know, I don't have a band, even though I have people that I work with quite often. You know, I've worked with just some great drummers, great players, great writers, great musicians, and it kind of keeps you on your tops too. You know, always try to play with people that I look up to, you know, that are my heroes. And working with Kenny Arnoff, working with Brian Tichy, working with some of the best drummers really in the world. You know, it gives me a lot of inspiration when I got a good drummer back there. I just wrote 4 new songs with Lynn Sorensen. And we actually got a drummer to come in and work with us, because I said, look, I want this beat, you know, and we kind of take it. We don't always work that way, but these 4 songs were basically driven by the rhythm. And if I didn't have a good drummer driving the rhythm, it wasn't going to, the inspiration for the song was. So we wrote 4 songs like that, because, you know, you come up with these ideas, but you know, the drums are, how many songs do you know? I mean, I'll look at Kenny, you know, and the famous drum beats he's done. So with John Mellencamp and all that kind of stuff. He's just, the guy's phenomenal. So working with him's great. He's a cool guy. He's another guy. He's got a book out. He's like a motivational speaker, you know. Liberty DeVito from New York. I mean, these guys are, you know, they're just cool people, and they've taken what they've learned from the industry and really improved other people's lives with it too. I like that. I think that's cool. You know, I really like that. Yeah,
absolutely. We're gonna take a look at another one of your videos called "Prove It." Is that because Roni Lee says, "Prove it"?
Prove it.
Right.
I love this video. This was a lot of fun to make. I got to make a little mini movie, and with some great actors and great video producer, and every every video that I do has got a whole different concept, whole different idea behind it. And this one was a lot of fun. It was done a while back, but the song is rocking. It was written, my guitarist, Steve Buffington, and I together. That was back in the 70s, and his music is just phenomenal too. You know, he's such a great lick writer. So this is me and Steve's collaboration here. And then we just made a movie called Prove It.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to watch Prove It, and we'll be right back with Roni Lee.
That I like, there's things that I can't take. One thing I know for sure, so far your love's a fake. Prove it, prove it, prove it, prove that you want me. Prove it, prove it, prove it, prove that you need me. Prove it, prove it, prove it, prove that you love me. Showing me that you never cared, and I've no time to be a fool. You're a one-sided love affair. Prove it, prove it, prove it, prove that you want me. Prove it, prove it, prove it, prove that you need me. Prove it, prove it, prove it, prove that you love.
We're back with Roni Lee. We were just checking out Prove It. And Roni, so were you prior, to the pandemic, I'm sure you were, playing out and stuff like that. And I know it's, the pandemic has affected everybody,
Yes.
especially in the music industry. I mean, even with having a magazine, it's like, okay, well, what do you write about? You know what I mean?
Right.
What's what you do? You know what I mean? So how have you been taking up your time since all this has been going on?
Well, I think with everybody, it's been a lot of reflective stuff. Sometimes you get too reflective and you can be like, you can freak yourself out. And there's been some of those times too. But we have been doing some writing. And of course I did some live streaming like everybody else. I became my own TV producer. I still have all the gear. I'm not doing it right now because it just, I got, I wanted to move on from it. I think we all have that attitude of let's move on. Let's get back to, I'm a live player. Some people love the studio and they just went to this like fish in water, me, I'm like, oh, do I have to record this song? Can't I just play it? That's more my thing. So I actually don't enjoy the studio as much as some people do. I'm also one of those people, I think I can play that solo again and I'll play like 50 times when the first time was probably the best. And so I gotta say that, but it did give me time to kind of prioritize things because before it happened, I was just play, tour, move, keep going. Yes, I'll play there. Yes, I'll play in Colorado. Yes, then we'll go to Germany. And then ironically, I just booked 4 cities in July this year. Like I think Nashville, New York, Seattle, back to Seattle. So I did it to myself again, but that was just coincidental. Okay, I think. But now I feel like I'm making a little bit different choices, maybe thinking things through just a bit and not just reacting to the normal schedule. And, it got into being, well, maybe a little bit too many clubs. Clubs are real easy to fall into because they want to book you and you want to do it and it's fun. Friends can come out. But it's not really what I want to do a lot of. So this year I'm trying to limit the club playing versus the festival versus the shows. Because to me, there's 2 different kinds of shows. There's a show where you come out to see the band. And of course they have the drinks and the libations and whatever, but you're there primarily for the music. And then there's the thing where you're there to sell alcohol and put bodies in seats and there happens to be some music in the background.
Right.
So there's kind of those 2 different situations. Of course, I prefer the first one, the former, where, you're coming to see the music and then, whatever's there is there. And it's just a different attitude. It's a different perspective and you can get caught up in both, to be honest. So give me some time for reflection on that and what I say yes to. Because I'm also a mom of 3 kids. So I tend to go, okay, all right, yeah, I'll do this. All right. And of course, my kids are grown and, but I also want to spend more time with them. So I got to do a lot of that. I actually got an apartment back in the city that they live in. So I'm there with them all the time.
Well, that's good.
For the most part now, whenever they make time for me.
Yeah, because growing up as a rock and roll mom, the kids, you know what I mean? So that's good.
Well, I took a long break and I was a mom. I actually did have to make a choice at one point because I thought you could do both. And that's, for me, wasn't the case. Because there's a lot of traveling involved in music and a lot of other, and I just decided, I was married and I just decided, I'm going to play, but I'm going to play locally and I'm going to stay home. And for the most, I'm not stay home all the time, but I'm not going to do the traveling. So for a long time, and that's why there was a pretty extensive quiet period for me. It wasn't quiet for me, but I guess you might say it was quiet musically, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, there's different times, like there's seasons for everything in life, right?
Right.
There was just seasons for that. And I have great kids and they're awesome people and I didn't have any major issues with them. And I think that reflects in that because I put them as a priority in my life. I'm not patting myself on the back for it, but I also was raised a little differently myself. So I wanted to make sure that they knew how important they were. And so I did that and it worked out. It worked out best for me because now someone will take care of me when I'm older. That's the plan.
Right.
And I remind them of it constantly, by the way. I go, hey, I didn't make a ton of money, you guys. So there's a little bit there for you, but mostly, yeah, you're going to have to take care of it.
So now have any of your kids following in your footsteps?
No, they all play music, but they all do something else. thank goodness, for money, and they're all pretty successful. I got one that's still in college, so.
Okay.
But they all play, and they all wanted to play, which was really nice. My daughter, violin and piano. My one of my sons, saxophone and bass, guitar, and my other son, drums. So we could actually put the Partridge Family together if we wanted to.
There you go.
And maybe we will. I think there's some
Yeah.
video of my daughter playing bass for me on a couple tunes, actually, somewhere out there. But yeah, I tried to get them to do it a little more, but then they got distracted with other things that were important to them, and I want them to do things that are important to them. So, but I'm glad that they all have a taste of it, and they know what it feels like to make music and to play an instrument. And who knows, maybe they'll pick it up again. People do those kinds of things. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
We have one more video that we're going to check out, and this one is Young Wild Boys.
oh boy. Well, this is a Bruno Mars song, right? Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
This is a Bruno Mars song, completely reinvented by a producer in Los Angeles, Tim Eaton. Probably one of the best. He's got a roster as long as whatever, California. And he contacted me. He says, I know you don't usually do real poppy kind of rocky stuff, but he goes, I just have envisioned you singing this forever, and we're going to rewrite it and rearrange it. And Bruno's good with it. And I want you to do this song. He's got it as Young Wild Girls. So I said, okay, is this going to make me look like a creeper? He goes, no, not at all. It's a real celebration, actually, of youth. And so when we did the video, that's how we did it. And again, this was all filmed in Seattle. And so when you see this video, we just had a blast doing it. And it was, I had these young guys, this young band, friends of mine in there. And we just had a blast making it. And it's really a celebration of youth and playing music. So I thought it came out great, and I had a really good time making it, and the song is done well, and people seem to enjoy it. In fact, they forget that it was a Bruno song. So that's perfect.
Yeah,
so I hope you enjoy it.
All right, great. All right, well, we're going to check out Young Wild Boys, and we'll be right back on Music 101.
Hey, baby. Oh, what's your name? I spent all my money on a big ass fancy car.
Okay, we're back with Roni Lee. So Roni, now, is there anyone that you would like to tour with or play with that you haven't had the opportunity to do so yet?
Well, yes, Aerosmith. Believe it or not, I've never met them. I've never met Steven Tyler. We
Wow.
both recorded Piece of My Heart literally at exactly the same time, not knowing. He never called me or anything, but he just did it.
Wow.
And we have the same producer, Warren Hewart, has worked with them and is very good friends with them. We just literally have missed each other by a degree or two every single time. And I love Steven Tyler. I love his whole story, his whole crazy life. Kind of reminds me of me a little bit. And so, yeah, I would love to, and I got that on my list of stuff to make happen at some point. He does a lot of charity kind of things too, you know, so I imagine
Right, yeah.
run into each other one of these days. David Lee Roth, we hung out quite a bit in the early days. I haven't seen him in a long time. I would love to do something again with him just because he's crazy and fun and crazy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But I love people like that. I love characters. I love, you know, trying to get the psychology of what makes me, you know, maybe not completely, you know, scary, crazy, but people that just don't have any filters. I enjoy those people. I'm really not one of them. That maybe that's why I enjoy it so much. You know, I'm really pretty, you know, really pretty calm in some ways. I'm not, I was a diva back in the day, like we all were, but you know, that was just because people gave me stuff all the time and treated me that way, not because I demanded it. You just get used to it after a while. You're like, yeah, where's the car? Where are we going? What's happening? And, you know, never remember being on tour, never looking out the window because I thought I was too cool to care. Now, when I go on tour, I'm like, let's go to the castle. Let's go do, you know, I want to see stuff. So I'd love to see those two bands. Love it. I'd love to do another thing with Joan, by the way. So mostly just because I'd love to do things with people I knew before, not so much people that I haven't done anything with, except for Aerosmith. They're on my list. So if you know Steven, give him a ring for me.
Yeah, unfortunately I don't, but you know,
I know.
Believe it or not, I've never seen Aerosmith either. I've never seen them perform.
Never even seen them live. And they
Me
are
neither.
my daughter's the biggest fan. She's been to them I don't know how many times. And every single time, again, just I've missed the concert, haven't been able to go. I'm not a big concert goer anyway, but I would definitely go see them. So I guess I'd have to put them number one on my list for sure.
Mhm. All right, well, Roni, where can fans find you and find what you're doing, your music, touring, and all that?
Everything's on the website. We recently, that's another thing we did during the pandemic is try to redo everything so it's all one-stop shopping. So if you go to RoniLeeGroup.com, RONILEE group.com, it's all there. In fact, if you Google me, you'll find me. All the videos, my YouTube channel, of course, love it when people subscribe to that. That always helps. We do some live stuff. I try to keep videos rolling along on there and hopefully they're fun to watch. And I have a SoundCloud, Roni Lee's Rock Tips. And I talk about a lot of things like how to fire band members, how the new label thing work. Should people, how should you social media when you do a show? Should there be one invite or 10? You know, all kinds of weird little things that I've just ran across in the music world. So that's on SoundCloud, and of course we're on all the music things. But I just love interaction. So if anybody emails me or messages me or whatever, I'm pretty good 99% of the time to getting back to people and chatting it up. I might not be able to have an hour and a half phone call with you, but I can definitely, you know, answer a question or chat and people will say, hey, I saw you somewhere in this part of town, and they'll send me a funny picture or me in a bikini in Hawaii. Somebody sent me that the other day. I'm like, thanks for that. I'm not sure if I'm going to thank you or
right.
but at least I have it now.
Yeah, really.
So, you know, all these people, I have people that contact me, they go, oh my gosh, I saw you in the late 70s. I love that. That's one of my favorite things is to see people that remember that they have a different version of the story than I have, or a different version of the memory, you know, and that's always fun to hear most of the time. So I love interacting with people on the social media stuff. I'm not always responsive that minute, but I will get back. I have a personal goal to try to do that. So
Well, that's good.
yeah. So that's how to find me. I'm easy.
Okay. Well, Roni, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this interview with me. And we're looking forward to hearing more from you in the future. And hopefully, if anybody's out there on the West Coast can get a chance. Do you ever come out to the East Coast here?
I will be in New York in July. I will be there in July. We're firming up the thing. I firmed up the week that we're going, and I'll be in Nashville on July 15th, 16th, 17th. I haven't updated. Again, right now, I'm literally booking this week. You know, it seems like that somebody turned the tap water on. So, so yes, I will be in New York area.
You have to let me know about that, when and where.
Yeah, I will. It's all going to go up on the site. Hopefully, you know, we'll start cooking and moving, and definitely some more to come on the East Coast for sure. I did a Steve Vai guitar camp a couple of years ago, right before all this happened, and I had never been to Long Island before, and I loved it. I love Long Island. I definitely want to go back. I got into Seinfeld when I was over there too. I'm watching comedians in cars, and I'm playing in Long Island. I'm still talking like this, and it was so awesome. So now I got to get back there and play in that. It's Smithtown again, and some of the places that we played in Long Island last time. So we'll be back.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Well, thanks so much again, Roni. And
Thank you.
We'll hopefully see you and hear you soon. And
absolutely. Thank you for supporting. I mean, this is a lot of work that you guys do, and to keep musicians out there and in front of people. And so appreciate it, really. Very much. And you look awesome. I love your hair. Mine, I forgot my brush on the last show.
Whatever. You look great. All right, Roni.
All right,
take care. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too. Good night.
Bye.
You're listening to Music 101 with your host, Alexxis Steele. Sponsored by Steel Notes Magazine. You can find them at the web, folks, at www.steelnotesmagazine.com.